Bays Water District Commissioner. So I'd like to call this meeting of the Hampton Bays Water District Commissioners to order on this 9th day of February 2023. Please rise and join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Supervisor Schneiderman.
Present.
Councilwoman McNamara.
Present.
Councilman Martell.
Present.
Councilman Bouvier.
Here.
Councilman Scavone.
Present.
All right, so we have everybody here present, and we'll get started. So this is, what do we do this, like a few times a year?
3 times a year.
3 times a year? Okay, so
Changed from
First time
2.
this year. First time this year.
this is our first meeting of the year?
First meeting of this year. Last met in October of last.
Seems like only yesterday.
We met on the capital improvements
A lot of things going on in the water district.
part. There is.
You guys are busy.
Oh,
So,
And good news still.
okay.
No bad news to report, which
All
is
right,
great.
so we got James Cappers, who's the Assistant Director or Superintendent, what do we call him?
Superintendent, assistant superintendent,
Assistant Superintendent.
director, whatever you want.
Yeah, you can call.
Thanks to Rich McEwen, who's
Yeah, he
the
can.
Superintendent.
He's superintendent. You can call me other things too.
It's not late for supper?
Well, call me late for supper.
John Collins from H2M,
Yep, and Chris Weber from
and Chris Weber from H2M, who are our consultants. All right, so, who you guys want to kick this off? Somebody want to?
Sure, yeah.
You put together a little bit of an agenda.
Yeah,
for us.
just to touch base on last year, our bread and butter, our pumpage and our billing, stuff that we do to bring in capital for our everyday operations. Last year, we ended with $1.1 billion.
Billion, wow.
Wow.
We're gonna have to go over.
Told you we were doing good.
We're sending everybody a check.
1.1 billion gallons of water pumped and billed.
That's different.
Yeah, we pumped roughly 1.37 billion gallons of water through our wells, which is a record year. And we pumped a record of 9.3 million in a 24-hour period last year.
So when you say it's a record, is it a record by much or?
We had
By 1 million gallons.
a million gallons,
Over a
but
million gallons extra.
our consumption village was down. It was a 0.8% decrease from 2021. In 2021 we had 1.132, and 2022 was 1.123. So
Explain
the
to me.
difference in between. So there's
The
about
pumpage and the consumption is
yeah, the
different?
pumpage is what the wells pump. So the wells pump the water to the district, and then the consumption is what is billed.
So what happened? Did we lose some water?
So there's about
Or
an
what?
18% difference in between the two.
For flushing out.
8 to 10% we figured flushing, small leaks. We now backwash at Forefield twice a week for 2.5 hours, so that's more. We had to drain the million-gallon tank a couple of times last year, so that loss is in that 8 to 10% range. So we figured the 8% loss that we're seeing now is within our water meters. So what the water meters tend to do as they age out, which they're starting to, and we're implementing that meter change-out program this year, they start to lose their efficiency, their the percentage in which they bill. They lose their low gallons efficiency. So like if a big apartment complex is using a sink, some of those larger meters that are 20 years old won't read that small flow. They only read large flow. So that's why we are honing in on our meter replacement program moving forward, because that's money we're losing out on for our budgets and stuff. So it has been slightly increasing every year from that loss, but this is the biggest jump this year. It's mainly because our large meters have to be replaced, and then we're going to go down to our smaller meters, and then within a 3 to 5 year period, hopefully have everything changed out and running and lower that percentage of loss. But that being said, we had a 2.5% increase on our revenue. We had
That's
roughly.
because we went up slightly on the rates. and
We
how
didn't do a rate change last year, but what we figured out is between the months of June and October, we saw a record usage. Being such a dry year last year, more consumers fell into that tiered billing rate. So they used more water, So they jump up, we have a tiered rate. So we figured that's where that pickup was from that loss of consumption. We picked it up because it was in the tiered billing system because more sprinkler usage and so forth. So we actually did have a 2.5% increase on income, about $75,000 more than 2021. So even though our consumption was slightly down, not our pumpage was up. But our consumption was slightly down, maybe by 0.8%. It's not a big decrease, but we saw our revenue.
I'm just curious about that, because is that a difference between the way the pump meter is registering flow as opposed to how you're calibrating that towards the meters on
Yeah, so
residences?
each pump, we have 11 wells. Each well has a meter on it, so we know how much that well is producing. And then each resident has a meter in a pit or a
But they're
vault.
pumping water at different states, so you've got evaporation and temperature differences and all that. That seems like a huge difference to me in
Well, he
loss.
explained it before, that
It's the loss in the consumption through
they
the
had,
meters.
Yeah,
to
but it
flush
just
out
sounds
the
like more
giant
than that.
tank a couple times.
No, I mean, I understand that,
And
but it's
that,
just
we do have
interesting
a-
to
Where we
me.
have the iron filters that feel
Yeah, that's
for, they
2
have
hours a
to
week at
backwash
1,000 gallons a
lot.
minute.
So your processes have increased.
Yes,
and
especially
it's
now that the iron
reflected.
treatment plant's up and
That's-
running full.
That's your responsibility.
Yeah, and we had a
That's-
big rehab of the tank, and we had some issues with the tank being filled, and then had to drain it, retest and drain it, chlorinate and so forth. So
Did you have more water main breaks or no? It's about the same.
about the same. No, we did our leak detection 2 years ago, and it was
It's pretty solid.
really solid, like
So I think-
95%. I think we were at.
Oh, good.
It's a
So
1,000,000-gallon tank that's up and running.
yeah, it's been up and running. Yeah,
Cleared up,
no issues.
all the
with us.
testing,
So
okay.
I think what you'll find is that we have the water meter replacement program.
You can only have one person talk to council.
Oh,
Sorry, Rich.
sorry.
John?
We have the water meter replacement program we're gonna do over the next 3 to 5 years. By replacing some of those meters, you're gonna see an uptick. You're gonna see more water captured, lower flows captured. That'll take percentage points off that 18. We have the SCADA coming up. One of the things we'll do there is he'll most likely replace some of the flow gauges on the Venturis that leave the well, so we'll get a little bit more accurate on that. That could be percentage points there. Ultimately, I think our goal would be, 10%, less than 10%. So, 3 years ago, we were at 12%,
Yeah.
and now we're at 18. Again, we don't have drastic breaks, so a lot of that's coming from that iron filter, which is very important to flush.
So 18%, you're saying that is the amount of water pumped that's not billed?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, and the only reason I'm curious is I'm working with somebody right now about evaporation control,
Mhm.
magnetic fields, and we don't use any system like that, right? So, because they've discovered a loss in that system, and I'm just wondering if we have a system like that.
No, I would think most of our evaporation would occur in the summertime, in the tanks, in the 3 tanks, and you take the surface area of the tanks. That's, my gut instinct would say that our evaporation is very low, because our pipes are buried 4 foot in the ground, so you're gonna have very little evaporation in there. You'll have some,
Well, you've got aeration, evaporation, you've got air flowing through your pumps.
yeah,
I'm finding it fascinating, so I'm just kind of curious in the real world.
And our turnover rate on the tanks from the water filled, water pumped is quick. So it's not like the water sitting and then has a chance to evaporate. It's filled and drained, filled, drained, filled, drained. So
Yeah, because with these people, they found the magnetic convection was actually doing the opposite of what they were hoping it was doing. That's why,
Mhm.
if we had a system like that, it'd be interesting. That's an aside.
I don't expect you to know this, but it probably means our electric bill, or is it diesel these pumps, or?
No, they're electric.
They're electric, so I would expect that to be a little higher this year.
Without a
Because of
doubt.
that higher volume of water that we pumped. But I don't know if we have that in.
No, we don't have that. I don't see the electric comparison. That'd be
Whether
the
that is
comptrollers.
covered by the increase in rate. I don't
Yeah,
know.
this year, 2023, we are doing a rate increase, 10%. So we should be able to cover. And I wish one of the comptrollers were here to kind of give us a breakdown of our, brought in, paid out, so forth. Like get a report from them moving forward to see how we
It seemed like you
did.
had decent reserves last time we checked, so.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a good year with not needing to utilize our vendors and contractors as much as in the past. So we saved a lot. We're not having to pay them much. But That's pretty much it on the,
In terms
Do we
of the
still
wa-
have
Oh, sorry. Tom.
diesel backups on the water pumps?
Yeah.
They're still in place?
diesel
Okay.
backup, we have one natural gas backup at Plant 5, and then one diesel backup for Plant 4, the whole Plant 4. There used to be just one there, was a diesel backup for 4-1, but now that the iron treatment plant's in, that was in the plans to put a diesel backup generator to run the whole field, including the iron treatment
Backup
facility.
generator, not a backup pump, backup generator,
Backup
to run
generator.
the electric pump.
Yes. Yeah.
Are we still cleaning like one of the 11 well heads?
Yeah, right now we're doing 2-2. Delta's in the process, they're gonna be here tomorrow to put the well back together. They pulled the pump, the casing, viewed the column, videotaped. Everything seems great in working order. We're gonna replace the electric motor, have it sent out rehab. We have a brand new one that's gonna go on top, so that,
Which pump is that?
2-2, older red road.
Viewed the column. They put a camera down and
Yeah,
in
they
the
send a
wellhead,
little,
and
a
they look at it
USB
for
storage
cracks.
thing, yeah, they look at it, make sure there's no buildup on the side.
So you're
I love
doing
this
them in
country.
Whatever's the.
10-year, we're trying to do
oldest
each one
version.
10 years, and then Plant 4, we're gonna knock down the 7, being the high concentration of iron in those wells. We wanna make sure we stay on top of them, so.
Right, so you're picking the one that needs it the most.
Yeah, we do a pump test, so that tells you the efficiency the well's running, and then we determine, you know, top to bottom, which one has to be done right away, which one can wait a couple more years, and then we depict which one we do
Isn't
each
there
year.
one of the pumps at field 1 that was only running at like 50%, something like that,
No,
from the report? Do you remember, John? Maybe it's,
I thought, I think what you're referring to is when all three pumps run at the same time, you get a common drawdown of the groundwater table, so one of those pumps is throttled back and doesn't put out the full.
yeah, 1-3 is rated for 1,000 gallons a minute, but we can only run it at 750. So we have to
So
gate that one.
3/4.
Yeah,
okay, yeah, that probably is what I'm thinking.
yeah.
But that's not because it's not clean.
No. Just the pumping capacity and the, like John was saying, the cone of depression and the drawing down and everything, so
Could you try to prevent
pulling
saltwater
air and,
intrusion?
well, we try not pull air and cavitate the well and then have problems, so.
All right, so let's keep going. So that's pumpage.
Yeah.
Any other questions on pumpage? All right, you want to go on to the next topic?
What was that?
Four
Plan
fields.
4,
double
yeah, I'll
project
kinda
update.
let John and Chris take over Plan 4, cause he has some
So-
closeouts and stuff to talk about.
We have the tank at Bellows Pond Road tank is complete, it's online. We have a annual inspection we're gonna do in April, just to make sure that the improvements the contractor did are held up. Identify any problems before the maintenance period expires, and
There's a
then,
warranty on
yeah,
the project?
yeah, there's a year warranty on it, so I think that's up in August, so we'll get in there April, so we can get the contract.
That's the one in the past, we had the issue with the delamination.
Yep. Yep, and we're not expecting anything major, it'll be drips or sags or, you know, minor flake-offs if it's, you know.
They'll come back and fix it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then other than that, we're just in the process of closing out that project now. I actually have all the
Did they
paperwork
take
with me.
care of that, the cabling up on the ladder?
That's all done, yes.
That's all done? Okay.
Yep, yep.
And are you going to be doing is H2M going to be doing the inspection?
With the contractor,
Right.
the contractor we go with them and identify areas, and then hopefully they stay and they fix whatever they're gonna do, and
I like
it's
the
done.
idea of having a different contractor checking our original contractor work, so
Oh.
that's my question.
Yeah, we check their work.
I mean, if you bring them in, everything's going to be fine, I would imagine, but I would like other eyes on it.
We check it.
Yeah.
The purpose of having them there is so that they see it and they can discuss it and they're in agreement with it.
Okay.
So
good.
there's no bickering back and forth. But there's always bickering.
So you're still on field 4, so that's where we did the iron
Mhm.
manganese, right,
Yes.
as well? So what else, you have it on the calendar, project update, so is that also one of the things you wanted to talk about, or?
No, the only thing going on with the iron plant's up and running. So the only thing we're doing at this point is just closing out the contracts, issuing final payments, getting maintenance bonds. So, we're expecting to have that all closed out with the 3 contractors within the next month.
And it's performing the way you expected it to
Yes.
perform?
Yep, check it every month.
Okay, and when you have to change out the filtration media,
anthracite sand, which is probably never, but, sometimes 20 to 30 years if need be,
This
but,
was a sand?
yeah.
It's a sand and it's gravel, anthracite, and sand. And
So you backwash it, that's it?
Twice a
Yeah.
week,
Mhm.
yeah.
so we don't say it's forever, but every 20 years is what our best.
So you've seen a giant pile of iron somewhere?
In our blow-off, but,
In
yeah.
our blow-off pit.
That used to be in the water, but now it's in the blow-off.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it's
And we'll have
not in
to,
the water anymore.
yeah, and we'll have to muck that blow-off pit out eventually.
Are you saving on the orthopoly?
Yeah,
phosphate?
we're just putting the minimum needed there, just to keep the water chemistry the same. We don't want to remove it,
Yeah,
It's
you
more
shouldn't
for-
have as much.
Yeah, it's more for corrosion prevention, for the houses and our mains. But yeah, we just use the bare. I'm gonna keep a very small residual coming out of that plant because it doesn't have to, hide the iron and manganese anymore. It's just there to keep the water chemistry the same.
Good. And customers are in that area must be,
Discolored
Static.
water, our rusty water calls have fallen off.
plus you're flushing more too.
Yeah, we're gonna flush again in April.
Anything else on field 4 updates? And we're not, I guess we got through the winter okay with the blankets. Is that how we did it? We blanketed?
No, we didn't blanket anything. We just kept water running through there. Plant 4 is our lead field, so that well really never shuts off. It runs fine. And we only had that 1 week where temperatures were
Yeah,
pretty
it
cold
was
with the
about
wind.
6 degrees.
And you check the outside, there was no ice buildup on them, there wasn't any, threat of ice, so it ran perfectly fine throughout the cold.
As long as they're operating, you're not gonna have an issue with them freezing.
Okay, because the water's moving.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, nothing else on field 4. Any questions about field 4? All right, let's keep going then. We're moving to directional drilling projects.
All right, H2M?
Who's that?
Yeah. All right. To start with, as far as I think we saw some of the grant communication came back, them asking for us for some additional documents, so everyone's aware. The few additional documents, the MWBE paperwork from the contractors, we coordinated with EFC and the town, and they have all the documents, so we're just waiting for them to perform their official review in order for them to move forward with getting
How
some.
much grant money do we get?
2.7.
2.7, right? Yeah.
2.7 million.
Yes.
2.7.
That's good, good job.
Yes.
That was state infrastructure money?
Yeah.
Water
Yes.
quality money?
The WIA grant, yeah.
Yeah, good job. Now, that paid most of the costs for the Shinnecock Bay one.
That pretty much
Yes.
covered Shinnecock Bay.
Yeah.
Pretty
That was
much.
yeah.
That's great to hear. And that project, that's all done.
Well, we're waiting to exhume the pipe, and we talked to
That's
Councilman
the only
Martell.
piece left is the old pipe. is still
Yeah,
there.
and I know you guys said it's gonna be on the town board. Next resolution to pass the money, for the monies so that they can remove it, so.
Yeah, I
Right.
think,
I think, Jim, we're gonna, I guess, apply. We got some money, insurance money back for the pipe break. I mean, it costs, not all of the cost.
No, the total cost is 313,000, and we recouped 250.
So, but I think we're gonna apply that to cover, the removal of the pipe.
Yeah.
The-
What is that pipe's material? It's pretty old,
It's all
right?
right.
ductile.
Ductile iron.
Yeah,
It's
so,
old. It's 20 years old.
so it doesn't get dumped, it can actually get reused in some form?
It could
No?
go to
It's
commercial.
not that
commercial.
condition?
No.
Scrap metal.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's scrap metal.
Scrap metal, yeah.
Yeah.
Scrap metal.
It's eggshells basically sitting on the bottom, waiting to have an issue.
Yeah.
So the cost is
Bruce, you saw it's in
removal
bad
and
shape.
2 scrap.
I mean, is it
Yeah.
crazy to think that it could have, I know there's, people like to scuba dive down there.
Yeah, Army Corps did not want that. That's the problem.
did not?
That was the original plan,
leave
to
it
leave
down
it
there.
there as a natural.
Or
but
even
just-
move it over.
Just remove the exposed one so nobody could see it, and then Army Corps came back and
Or-
said,
Or remove the section that's in the channel.
because I think they want to dredge
They want
that.
to dredge it.
Yeah, and I think it would
So-
roll and they would.
That's
it's
why
a
it's- yeah.
navigational hazard.
Yeah,
Yes.
so they don't want any issues.
Because I think from aquatic habitat standpoint,
That's a great idea, but they didn't think so.
those fish would probably love to swim through
Yeah.
those little pipes,
Very happy.
chop them up. You're the diver.
And then there's no issues with the like when they do
No,
dredge, right?
yeah, no,
Only for
that's
food.
33 feet below Bay
Oh,
Bottom.
it's like a-
If they get that, we got more.
We got
We have more issues.
They're bringing
I- I
end of the
still
world
find
as we
it
know it.
Yeah, it's nothing like that.
All right, so anyway, so that's not gonna happen.
No.
We can leave it then. We gotta get the whole thing out of there.
Yeah, yeah.
Would you remind us what the total cost of the two projects together were?
4.2.
Can they drag it out to Governor Cuomo's dive park thing?
Whatever they do with it afterwards,
Snake,
after they get it out and we sign all
Tappan Zee.
You know,
papers.
what I'm
Yeah,
talking
they
about?
can
He
do
was
it,
dumped
yeah.
in the Tappan Zee
Tappan
Bridge.
Zee
Yeah.
Bridge, yeah.
off
They
of
dump it with the
Hampton
Tappan
Bays.
Zee if they want.
Yeah.
Still out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a crazy idea either, to just kind of haul it out there and leave
As
it.
long as that headache is out of our hair, they
How
can
is
do
it okay
anything they
for the
want
state to
with
do
it.
that? We can't do that.
Nah, well,
They're, you know, save some disposal costs, but anyway, it's too logical, I guess, to
yeah, that's
consider.
pretty much Shinnecock, and then you can talk about the canal.
Yeah.
So wait, so I just want to make sure we're finished on Shinnecock Bay.
Shinnecock is done
Now,
operating.
now the pipe, the directional drill pipe on the Shinnecock Bay, was it the same diameter or was it bigger than the old pipe?
It was a larger diameter, and then, but it's a thicker pipe, so the interior diameter is similar to what it was.
Because I was gonna ask, like, in terms of the businesses down there, are they seeing better pressure, more water?
They'll see continuous
Continuous
pressure.
pressure.
Continuous
Yeah, they're not gonna have
pressure.
issues with brakes.
Did they used to have issues over there, like Oakland?
Drop
Just when we had our problems.
Yeah.
No sustainability with water throughout their
Right.
busy
Okay.
seasons. but-
So it's not really an improvement for them, but it's reliability.
Yeah.
The reliability.
Okay.
It's
And we
6-inch
had a-
inside diameter, right?
Inside
what-
diameter is
No.
12.
12, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a lot of volume.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a big pipe.
So, but that also serves Ponca Beach,
Yes.
commercial dock,
And fire protection.
Hampton Lady, Sundays.
Gosh, what is the pressure delivery for that? On a 12-inch pipe across there over to,
Who wants to know?
It's the volley.
Just off the top of your head.
Get out your calculator.
I don't know what the overall water weight is that's driving some of that. It's just kind of interesting to me. That's a big, long,
It's a lot, you gotta push water a long way.
Well,
pipe.
that's why the pipe is an inch and a half, 2 inches thick.
Yeah.
It's,
It's interesting. though.
it's not the
Maybe a
internal
road
pressure.
down there, we
It's-
should Take a look.
Well, you can't take a look, because this one's directionally drilled.
Yeah, you gotta go
It's
33
way
feet.
under- It's way under the ground.
This one is under.
Way under the
I'll show you
ground.
how.
It's,
You won't
yeah.
see it, you gotta go down there with a shovel.
It's at a minimum 25 feet below the bay bottom, so
So, yeah, good luck on it.
that pipe
Yeah,
will be
maybe.
there long
There you go.
after.
It's a lot of atmospheres below.
You could go look at the old one before they take it out of there. so.
No, thanks.
Happen to have a piece of
That
it?
I've seen.
Of the new main?
Yeah.
No, we don't.
Okay.
I
We
did
can
dive
get you,
down there.
we can get a piece.
Yeah, they got it, it's similar to what they have down at
Yeah, you-
Mashut now, only it's a
I
little
I
smaller.
dove there with,
I want to see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
it was with
Moving
Maria. I dove with Lipsky, Barry Lipsky. Going down and dive. It was kind of, we did an underwater ribbon cutting. Somewhere on the internet. It was, the currents were pretty intense.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
At
I think I was probably
At
holding on to the
Palm
old
you gotta
black.
hold
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy under
You're
there.
in
Tide's why you have to hold.
It's nuts under there. That's why I dive on the north side.
But it was cool, there was tropical fish down there.
Yeah, there is.
It was fun.
All right, so carry on.
Yeah.
So with the directional drilling under
My
Shinnecock,
bad.
we are going to solve our problems east of the canal, right?
That's
Maybe we
promise.
should've
It's the
done it.
intentions of it.
So, yeah, all right, we're changing over to, Tommy John is
So-
asking about the, not
We have-
Shinnecock Bay, but Shinnecock Canal.
Yeah, we'll let
Yeah.
So let's switch, let's.
Let them
change
take over that.
topic.
Change direction.
All right, so as far as that goes, so bankers on board, they're ready to go in and perform the work. The holdup right now has to do with parks, and I think Jim's working with
I thought we
the
got that,
appraiser.
we got the alienation, oh, we're waiting for that.
The alienation is done. Yep, Fred actually got that very quickly. It did kind of linger a little bit before the governor signed it, so it actually, she didn't sign it until December, but Fred had gotten the
We had to
alienation
get it
much sooner
appraised, the
than that.
value of the.
Yeah,
2
we
foot
have,
square.
we have the proposed easements all set, and then the county asked us for an appraisal of the easement, which I think is gonna be de minimis. I mean, our argument, even on the alienation issue, really was that this project was gonna vastly improve the water quality, water service to the county park, so it was actually an enhancement to the park, and in no way was it negative to the operation of the park whatsoever. And we're also gonna be putting a fire hydrant in the parking lot of the park, so.
Yeah.
But be that as may, we're having asked Larry Indemini, who's one of our appraisers on our list, to conduct give us a appraisal as quick as he can, and he is working on it very quickly, so hopefully we'll have a number on that very shortly, and we'll get
And
the
they
county
can't sign
to
off
approve the
on-
easement.
They can't sign off on the alienation subject to.
Oh, no, the alienation's good,
It's the-
but they have to sign off on the easement itself. They have to grant us this easement.
Can't they sign the easement subject to appraisal?
Well, you know.
So we can't do the job until
Mhm.
they agree on the price?
You know,
Someone
I've
have to
talked
give them
to
like
everybody, you know, folks in the
$10
county,
or
about the Jason,
Yeah.
I mentioned it to others, and I've discussed this also with Bridget, so she knows that she can get the approval of the easement on as soon as we have the appraisal number.
So how long is Larry saying he needs?
I'm pushing him, I'm hoping he can get something, and I'm hoping very shortly we'll have a number. It's gonna be de minimis.
How much could it be?
Yeah,
$100?
it's right.
Seriously, though.
It's, yeah.
I think-
That's,
The issue with the parks is, just to be clear, so the public knows, it's the county park,
Yes.
not the
Correct.
town park.
Yes,
County.
Mashute
Suffolk
County
County
Park.
Parks.
Yeah.
Suffolk County Parks.
So
yeah.
the
Mashut,
park- so the
Mashut.
value, I guess,
Sorry,
because
I'm,
the
We have
pipe
parks
runs
too.
under the park, and then it
West of
comes
that,
up
In the parking lot.
in like a 2-foot square or something, right?
A bit bigger, but yeah.
A tiny little postage-sized piece of land that they can't use now, which has got some value.
No, they're gonna get
They
their
can
use
use
back.
it. We're gonna restripe the parking lot for them.
Yeah, we're not affecting any parking.
Is it under the, where does it come up?
It's gonna be under the parking lot.
Under the parking lot.
But, and the main will be under the parking lot, but we're not removing any parking spaces, right?
No, but is there somewhere, there's some infrastructure that?
The only thing that'll be present, there'll be a meter pit and a hydrant, but that's gonna be in a little grass area, so we're not affecting any.
Right, that little grass area, though, there's some value to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. 30 inches diameter.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, and then it was a question also
Right.
whether,
They're like 2 or 3 foot little postage-sized.
right, and there's gonna be a period of time where we're gonna be occupying the area for a work easement essentially,
Right.
but the park's closed really till May, so
yeah, so,
I mean, this is,
it's,
Yeah.
have to get moving
it's,
on it.
it's,
We're
yeah,
trying.
it's
Yes.
de minimis,
Okay.
but, and, you know, and the county's been good, I mean, Jason, of course, is great to
so
work
is
with.
this affecting our contractor, the fact that it can't, they're not staged or anything yet, right?
They're bringing materials in, and if you remember, we had paid earlier on for some of the materials to keep that price. The only thing that's affecting right now is, they have offered to hold their price for the labor as of right now. Earlier on, I think it was in December or November, they had said that depending on when we get started, it might affect. They had told us if we were starting by the end of January, it wouldn't affect them. They still haven't said that there's an increase yet, but I think the longer it goes, there's more chance.
I mean, I'm concerned that, because I don't know how many directional drills this company has, that they'll
Yeah.
deploy it on another project, and we won't hit the window. We need to get this thing done
Yes.
pre-season,
Right,
Right.
agreed.
connected.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're running out of time
Mhm.
Yes.
to make this happen by, let's say, Memorial Day weekend.
Hopefully by May 1st.
Yeah, that would be
How
the,
long does it
Yeah.
take when you start, from start to
if
end?
we can get them going, I mean, I would say it's about a month, month and a half, yeah.
Okay.
All said and done.
Yeah,
Well, you have to also do all the connections, right, all the pressure tests.
Yes.
And you have to clean it out, right,
Mhm.
backwash it, whatever,
Mhm.
wash it out, flush it out,
I'll show you.
and that takes a while.
More water.
So that's the target is May 1?
Or before, if we can get started, you know.
All right.
It's gonna
You've
put
got,
pressure
you've
on
got
it.
spoils there, you're dewatering them on their parking lot too, is that part of the deal, or
No spoils, but
any, nothing in the
it's-
pipe?
No.
That-
No,
take it out.
it's gonna be
There might
water
be-
that we're putting in the
yeah,
pipe.
there
Yeah,
might be some
Just like a
minimal-
slurry, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
There might be some minimal wet material that we don't want to put back on the pipe that we'll remove and then put just
Put
dry
clean
So
it
material
not a,
back in.
really not a big deal.
No,
Yeah.
no.
So in this little grassy area that we're purchasing, we can put a Hampton Bays Water District
Yeah.
sign.
Yeah.
Presented to you by,
With a donation can.
Absolutely, yeah,
don't add to the price, though.
okay.
that's
All right,
pretty
so
much
Jim,
it.
you're working on that, so
yep, yep, I'll stay in, and,
soon as Indemnity can get that appraisal.
yeah, no, I
And
talked
he
to him,
knows there's a clock ticking.
Yeah, he was
Oh, yeah.
very, we assured him, and he was very understanding of what our timeline,
yeah,
and he was, I'll work on this as much as I can. when we
yeah,
talk.
Larry's great to work.
Yeah, so,
And
Yeah, I've-
is he able to estimate the range?
We talked, he
It's
agrees
like
that
if
it's
he said
gonna be
it's
something
something
that's gonna be relatively de minimis, you know.
If he said it's between, let's say, $100 and $1,000,
Well, yeah, that-
I'd say, let's just give the county $1,000, and when it's finished, they can
they
give
can give us a refund.
certificate.
You're right.
I don't think they know how to process
Refund it.
refunds.
Put it in an escrow account.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
just so
put
we
it
can
towards
move
our
forward.
filing
So they
fees
can
in our clerk's office.
Sign off on the easement.
Yeah, we promised the east side of the canal this will happen, and it's gonna happen either way, so.
So getting back to Tommy John's question, Tommy John wanted to know if this is gonna fix the pressure problem. And I think the answer you're saying, it's gonna make it better, but not necessarily.
Yeah, so what's gonna happen on the higher levels is they're gonna see an improvement. because right now it's fed by one main, total friction loss going through that one main, getting to the higher, because some of the highest elevations on the east side of town there. So the bigger units up top will see an improvement. It's not gonna be to solve all, do all, but it's gonna improve it
It's
tremendously.
also keeping the water main on the bridge, right?
Yes, that's the redundancy. So
Yes.
God forbid if
Two
anything should ever happen to
So we're gonna
that.
have water pushing through 2 pipes.
Two pipes, yeah.
And you have that connector you guys did a couple years ago.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, we improved
helped
that.
Push some water from field 1 into that area.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, they saw an improvement there once we did that, but this should change things dramatically for that side of town.
okay.
So 2 feeds instead of 1.
Correct.
So their static pressure, there's their working pressure.
Mm-hmm.
That's not gonna change because that's based on
It's
elevation.
gotta go.
It's that when they turn on their shower and everybody else in the neighborhood turns on their shower or sprinkler, that residual pressure that remains is gonna be much higher.
More volume of water.
More volume.
Right.
Okay.
You know, if some of the people at the highest elevation have issues, there are things that they can do,
They
right?
Yeah,
could put
boost-
little in-house boosters in, yeah.
In-house boosters.
But the problem with beforehand was they didn't have the volume to push.
Yeah, we didn't
Now
have
they'll
the
have
work.
the volume to push
Right.
if need be.
So we can see how it goes, and,
Yeah.
you know, you can advise people at that
Yeah.
point.
And then the unsaid advantage is fire flow.
Mhm.
Fire flows are gonna double, so you'll have much more water available to fight a fire. You know, hopefully it won't happen, but if it ever does, at least you have the tools to fight it out.
And the pipe, I guess that, but we didn't do the automated meter, right,
No, we're foregoing that to do this.
to do this?
Yeah.
And so we have that money,
Where that's what the other thing is, I believe Kathleen Murray and Jim are working on, is that in the agreement with Boathouse and Reckler was to pay a certain amount of monies towards that.
it's like 130.
Yeah, I think there's roughly like $185,000, $200,000 left, so they still have to finalize that agreement with them on getting us that money. I spoke with Kathleen and Dorota last year regarding that, so they have all the documentation, the original contract that was signed and so forth, what's left for us to pay to us for that project, so we can put it towards, you know, this bond.
This,
So-
right. Did we apply for a grant for this one too, or no?
It's part of the.
Part of the overall
Yes.
Part of the overall
Yeah.
grant, right. Okay.
Cool. Sounds good.
What was the cost of the two together, like 4 million?
4.2.
4.2.
Yeah.
And we got 2.7.
2.7.
Okay, not bad. Not bad. Okay, so, everybody's good with the directional drilling? All right, what's, next on our list here?
Capital.
2023, that's this year, capital project.
So last year, we submitted for 3, well, actually 4, but we have 3 approved. First one that we're steamrolling to is the water main replacement in the Rampasture area. If you remember, John and I performed a C-factor test, which is a test of the smoothness of the interior of the pipe. And I think there's a 10-inch main there now, with the buildup on there, it's similar to a 4-inch main. So the volume of water, you know, talking about volume in that area has been diminished greatly. So we're going to put a new 12-inch main, do the tie-overs for all the residents on that main, and bring more volume of water to that area,
But you're
and
gonna-
replace the hydrants.
You're
and
gonna
everything.
just abandon the old one?
Yeah, it's
You're not
seen
gonna
its
use the
lifetime.
water- You're not gonna use it for redundancy,
No.
just,
No need, once we put this brand new ductile iron main in, it's gonna go hook up to the 12-inch transmission main that comes from plant 4, so they're gonna have more water than they know what to do with down in that little peninsula of Hampton Bays, because that's, again, it's only fed really by one main going there. It has a couple small interconnects, but there's also within that, I think it's on East Diana Road, there's a small main upgrade to help that volume of water move to that area. So that's our #1 project for this year, and we've been promising that area for a while too, so it'd be nice to get that done for
when is that happening?
this year. We're in the process of getting the bid specs, and then go to bid, and then
So you're thinking what?
Springtime.
Springtime?
Late,
Yeah, late
no,
spring.
probably summer.
summer. We could do it, you know, it's not a heavy traffic area, so we can do it pretty much
I
at
think
any
those are
time.
cool.
We did our water main upgrade down Ponquag Avenue during the summertime. We didn't
There'll
really
be
have.
one day where we have to shut the water down completely to switch, turn it into.
Yeah, there will be probably a small interruption of water once we do we have to, you know, fill the main, test it, make sure that it's potable, and then we, you know, to start the tie overs. And, you know, residents aren't there all the time, so as they do the changeovers and stuff. It might be a small interruption.
I remember talking to a few residents at a community meeting, and I think they'll be more than happy for a
Yeah.
few
Oh, yeah, that'd be
disruptions.
thrilled.
They're on board.
Investing.
Yeah.
There's a
Get
lot
one of
of
the flashing
big
lights out to
residents
let 'em
there
know.
that have a lot of water usage down there, you know, mainly because of the irrigation.
Mhm.
But so they'll be much happier than they have been in the past.
They might have to adjust all their sprinklers.
Yeah, they might pop some heads off.
Does the back pressure affect that? Like, if you have a main that's delivering at a certain volume and you're reducing that to the meter, does that have an increase in pressure? Does that affect the meter? I mean,
Again,
are they gonna find a different water bill, I guess, at some point, because they're high consumers, right?
theoretically, since it's, no, because again, the static pressure will stay the same. It's the residual pressure that'll be different. They're gonna see a higher water bill when we replace their water meters
Yeah,
between the next 3 years.
okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask, and I know we're using iron ductile, you know, I've raised issues in the past about pH, you know, for years. I guess the groundwater itself was like around 6, right, the pH was around 6, and, but you guys would, I guess, use the caustic soda to bring it up.
Mhm.
So, I mean, the water in the main, it's been 7 point whatever.
7.5.
7.5?
7.5, 7.4.
Okay, so we're good on the pH issue, right?
Mhm.
It's not a problem? Okay. And you're doing all the necessary precautions and handling the
pH,
material?
poly's in there.
What's it?
I said pH is in there, poly's still in the water.
You guys
Chlorine's in
be
the water.
careful with the caustic
Yep.
soda too?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, not every water district uses some use, I guess.
Lime.
Lime.
Very,
Two.
very
Yeah, it's
labor
very-
intensive to do
Yeah.
lime. You need different venting systems and you have to have a full
Right.
decon suit and stuff.
Yeah.
Very detrimental to somebody's health if they ingest lime powder.
Okay.
Very
But you guys are
labor
doing all the-
intensive, so.
Caustic
Yeah.
soda, you gotta be careful with too.
Of course.
Without a doubt.
Okay, so any other capital projects?
Yeah, so then the next one is our SCADA system upgrade, which is our controlling software system for the water district. You know, we can see the towers, which wells are running, and so forth. And the biggest part of that is cybersecurity. As we all know, our SCADA system is one of the original ones that were ever installed. So a lot of the equipment for that original SCADA system is antiquated and it's hard to find. So as things fail, PLCs and RTUs and so forth, as those start to diminish or die down, it's hard to get parts and they're very expensive. So we want to increase the security, being how cybersecurity is a main threat to us. I mean, look at what happened to the county and so forth. And some water districts have been hacked, but we have systems in place that will prevent that. But to give it the final go-to is to upgrade our SCADA system. So that's the next one, which is going to basically be able to tell us, you know, our well efficiency. When we, like John was talking about before, was replacing our Venturi meters that are in the buildings so that we know that we're getting the most precise pumpage numbers. It's upgrading all the communication between the buildings and our main office, which is our main hub. We've had problems in the past where we're relying on Cablevision or Verizon, and those ultimately fail, and then we lose communication, so we have to have an operator go around and physically go into the pump houses and be able to see everything visual instead of being able to look on the screen. Now we're going to have all cellular backup on each one, so if that Verizon or Cablevision should fail, cellular backup will kick in, and we shouldn't lose any communication.
Are you able to see the data on your phone?
Yes, myself and there's an iPad that we have that the guy on
Currently.
call currently have. But now that this new upgrade, we're allowed to we can have more modules, so to speak, to have more eyes on it. So
And it sends you warnings if pressure drops?
yeah, it's hooked up to
or-
a verbatim system, so it's on a dial out. So if, each thing like caustic, chlorine, tank level, pressures, all that stuff is dialed into this verbatim. So if anything that reaches this high or low limit, it will call out the guy on call. If the guy on call doesn't pick up, it calls me. So there's always somebody having eyes or ears on the system. So it's the newer and better cybersecurity upgrade and more efficiency, being able to monitor the system as a whole.
Does that include chemistry or just?
Yeah.
in
For
chemistry?
pH, you
Yeah,
do
pH, chlorines.
All across?
sodium?
Okay.
It's also going to be able to see our pressures at Dune Road. There's a pressure transmitter that we had there. We had to when we had that issue with the main breaking. The Suffolk County Board of Health Services made us put in a pressure reader down there that would dial out if it would drop below a certain. But now we can actually visually see that on the screen, so we can monitor that at all times.
In terms of testing, as Councilman Bouvier said, we're still testing twice the average of Suffolk County Water Authority, right?
It depends on which field, but
Yeah,
A spectrum of
Yeah, so we get, the
substances.
Suffolk County Board of Health Services sends us a minimum testing requirement that we have to do yearly, annually and monthly, or every 3
Quarterly,
months,
yeah.
quarterly. So we do above and beyond that. We test monthly for pretty much everything, so
Okay.
we always are on top of that.
well, field one we do, field two, right?
All our fields that have had a detection of PFAS, we do monthly. So,
So they require you to do a physical testing. They don't rely on your chemical your automated analysis.
no, yeah, we have to go out and collect physical
Yeah,
samples from the
okay.
wells in our district.
So
That's
we-
just for the public.
It's a much more
It's more
granular
than double,
test,
because
yeah.
we're only required to test quarterly, I
Mhm.
think, and we're testing every month.
Every
Yeah, there's
month,
nothing
right.
that we have to test monthly anymore.
So it's a
Okay,
triple
good.
what?
Everything has to be tested most likely quarterly, and then there's some annual tests. Those annual tests are some of the ones that we, don't need to test monthly, but
Like the lead and things.
yeah, the lead and copper is every, couple of years and stuff like that, so.
Okay.
I mean, that's an interesting subject, the chemical testing, the optical systems and all of that kind of stuff. I'm just curious, do you make comparisons on the readings that you're getting?
Yeah, we do field tests. The guy on call, or the guy every morning who gets the readings through all the pump houses has a field
And does it
testing
sync
kit.
up well, or?
Yeah, we sync our field testing instruments to our building instruments to make sure they're at a percentage, not off. And if they're off, either one has to be calibrated, or there is an issue, and then it's quickly fixed. So. And we actually have a company, Hawk, which is all the instrumentals that we use in all the buildings, comes out twice a year and with their equipment and calibrates all the equipment in there. Because we do have a nitrax, which canister that has to get calibrated yearly, that we do because we monitor the nitrates at plant 1 because of the GAC system, and also because we had a little bit of a nitrate issue with one of the wells there, 1-2. That's why we have to run it in blend to keep that nitrate level down. But yeah, we're on top of the instruments, making sure they're
Good.
precise.
So, that was field one, nitrates, that's probably because it's in a downtown setting,
Yeah.
and there's sanitary systems and things like that.
That's the main reason why we can't run that well all the time, or that well field all the time, because of,
So you guys aren't fertilizing the lawn there or anything, right?
no,
Okay.
actually by the wildlife that comes
Yeah.
abroad and hangs out there.
So just on the SCADA system, and that's, isn't it like $1 million project?
1.3, yeah.
1.3. And what
It's
is
a
that?
big upgrade, yeah. It's a long overdue
Is there
upgrade.
any grant money for that? No?
Maybe some cybersecurity stuff, but no, that's a tough one, because it's not a new system, it's a old system that we're upgrading, so.
It's almost like a selective upgrade because it's not mandatory to have a SCADA system, so it's,
But it is an efficiency under infrastructure law. It may qualify. It's worth looking at.
Yeah, I mean, everything we've seen is geared towards,
New system.
merging contaminants, the PFAS, PFOA, 1,4-dioxane.
1,4-dioxane.
Because that is contained in the infrastructure law. Some of those have been. It's worth taking a look at.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that, like Homeland Security or EPA or somebody could have some kind of SCADA.
Yeah, because,
Granted.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're doing something environmental here, and you're reducing the emerging contaminants, right? So it's a justification for the use of some of that money. It may be worth pursuing, definitely.
Okay. All right, any other capital?
last but not least, the water meter replacement program is going to start this year. Our point fact for this one is our software upgrade for the meter reading software. We collect our readings through a census auto reader component. We zap the meter pit, it downloads it into the component, we bring it back, it downloads into the computer, it goes to govern and so forth.
You
So-
have to get out of the car to do that?
Yeah, so we are eventually going to hopefully move within the next 5 years to complete radio system drive-by metering, so we can drive by, collect the reads, and then come back to the office and download the reads. But the software that we're using is, again, antiquated. They don't have many components to be replaced with them, so our main thing is upgrade our office software to the basically the newest and greatest, which will be compatible with the radio reads when we move forward. Upgrading our Windows, we're operating on Windows 7, so it lags very, very much, so it delays our billing a couple of days with that. And then also, it's very labor intensive for us to go out and collect the reads. We need 3 to 4 employees every month to go out and collect the reads, which is roughly about 2,500 reads to collect every month. So it's a lot involved. So we're trying to be able to pull those employees and put them on more, it's not saying that it's not important, but put them towards more important projects and maintenance that we need to get done before the busy season and prepare for the busy season. So we're going to upgrade our reading units, our reading guns, the software, and the computer system, and then hopefully start maybe changing out a couple of our bigger meters that haven't been changed out. I believe there's like 1 or 2 6-inch meters that are been in the ground probably 30 years that we need to get out, and that's what we're talking about, that loss of, yeah, so.
And those will have the wireless readability.
Yeah, we're not gonna go to the wireless right away. We wanna get everything uniform and then switch over, but all these meters that we start to put in will be wireless compatible.
Okay.
So it's like a 3 to 5 year process. It was a very costly to do it all at once. It was a big chunk. It's like $4 million to do it at once. So we're going to break it up and start with our in-house stuff, get that up to par, and then we'll move on to the meters.
Windows 7 is old.
So,
You tell
so
me.
that's it for capital?
Yeah, that's it for this year.
Just a quick question, I'm sorry, just a quick question on the billing. So, it's my understanding a lot of people come in to pay, but you do have online.
Yeah, so a lot of people have switched from the in-person to the online now that the board voted to knock that
So that's
fee.
worked.
It's worked
Okay,
tremendously. People are very happy with that.
Paying online?
Paying online, yeah.
And we did change the office hours a little bit too.
Yeah, it was 7:30 to 3:30. We just lost a half hour. I mean,
And
like I
how is
was
that?
explaining, the half hour from 3:30 to 4, the office shuts down all the money at 3:30, a half hour before anyway, so there's no traffic at that
So
point.
there hasn't been any
No.
consumer
Like
complaints?
I was just
about it?
explaining, if in the summertime, if we see it's a problem, we can always adjust as needed, but we looked at it over the summer last year, and there really not much traffic at that time. So, and we have a guy on call that has an on-call phone, so if somebody has an emergency at 3:31 and they call, we'll be able to take care of it. So.
Well, that's good. Any other issues facing you guys?
No.
Have people at Hampton Bays or seem happy?
Yeah.
I haven't been getting complaints, so.
Yeah, we're digging our heels in, ready for another busy season, and we don't foresee any issues moving forward.
Sounds like you guys are doing a great job over there.
No, now you did it, James.
Yeah, don't jinx it.
That's good. I like the confidence. I'd rather have that than us knocking wood.
Yeah, it
I knock
sounds,
wood on
it sounds
everything, so-
good. You guys must be feeling
In
good
terms of
too.
staffing,
Yeah, a
you
lot
you
different.
gotta.
It's a lot different,
They have a
different
lot of empty
animal over there now.
positions?
No, well, Charles is, as you all know, Charles, our senior media reader, retired in December, but came back part-time to help
Oh, good.
train a new person to take over his job. But we were able to hire a couple new hires last year. The office is fully staffed now with 2 full-time employees, and it's just working smoothly and seamlessly now that we have the bodies in office. So we've come a long way from where we started.
Good to hear.
I have a request for you all. Our next meeting, our next commissioners' meeting is what is it?
May 11th or something?
May 11th? We instituted a 10-year capital improvement policy for the district. You all were part of it. We did this.
Right.
Yeah, and, right. I'd like to see a presentation on that. It
Sure.
doesn't have to be too long, but the next time you come, like, which projects are we doing? Are we fiscally on track? And, so we're about 3 years into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that really should be set up with the controller's office and.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
so-
what I was hoping one of them to be here to see where
Okay.
we were financially and we did meet with Len at the end of
Well-
last year with John to go over what we've done in the past and what we foresee,
Sure.
so, you know, it'd be nice to work with them to present it
Right,
to you.
for us to know, for the community to
Sure.
know, this was a plan, and, you know,
It's
we
in
are
place and
proceeding on the
moving, yeah.
plan as,
Do you wanna do that here, or do you wanna have a separate community meeting?
here.
Here,
I think,
yeah.
you know, here's fine, just, you know,
But
so
thank
we
you for
know.
bringing up the issue of a community meeting,
Yeah. Right.
because we have done a couple of those.
Not in a while since COVID, right?
Been a while.
COVID.
I'm not
put the
sure
kibosh.
people will actually show up, but we could try to do a open house kind of thing, community town hall type of meeting.
Yeah, every time, I mean, not to sound like, but every time we did try to set something, I always got knocked back, because
Yeah, COVID.
the annex closed down for a while, and, you know, then once the summer came, it's kind of hard to, you know, a lot going on, but we will definitely try to plan again this year and do
We could
something.
we could at least open that meeting up to Zoom.
Yeah, I mean, the irony of it, I guess, is that, you know, if there were problems, we'd be having the meeting, lots of people would come. Nobody's gonna come, because they're happy.
Yeah.
So, do we really need to even do it when nobody's complaining about anything? And I suppose we could book the senior center or something for one night, and if people, we'd have to publicize it.
Yeah.
It's not like they don't know how to find you if they have a question.
No, I know.
So-
Well, these things are good to get in the papers, you know, like the community should know that you all are working and you know,
When's
the
the
quality
end
of
of
their
the-
water is good.
When does the annual report come out?
May.
May.
May 3rd, we're working on it now, but
Maybe
May,
you could tie it in with the annual report, explaining, you could do a presentation,
Mhm.
you know, we are your water district, and we're here to serve you, if you have any questions, you know.
No, we
We're
do
gonna be
more,
presenting the annual report at the, whatever, the senior center on such and such a night.
yeah, we do more public notices and so forth, explaining things, mailers. And, you know, I know the town, we've utilized the town's website when we were awarded the grant, they put it on the website and on the Facebook page and
Does that
so,
annual report get mailed to everybody?
yeah,
it's posted on websites.
and mailed to,
Does get mailed?
yep, annual water report's mailed to
So
every.
why don't
customer.
we, when we mail it, we can include a, you know, community meeting, you know, where, place and time, and if people have any questions about the report, they should show up.
There'll be a little bit of coordination, but definitely possible, we can put it right in.
Does that sound
Yeah.
smart?
No, it's a good idea. To Tommy John's point, I mean, we laid out a lot to the community a few years back, and you guys are doing a great job sticking to the plan, so I think we should let them know that, you know, all the improvements you made, and, yeah, I think that's a great idea.
All the grants you've gotten, which have helped keep the rates in check.
The other thing is if we're gonna be disrupting ram pasture, we should let those people know that for a good month and a half, that there's gonna be some construction vehicles going.
Yeah, so if we did it, let's say, if the
Enlist-
report comes out in May, you're gonna send it at end of May,
So, yeah, it's due by the end of May, May 31st, we're usually beforehand, we're
So
usually
then we
like
could-
middle,
have a meeting sometime.
June.
June, yeah. That's good, because a lot of summer people will be around.
Mhm.
Yeah, you could celebrate some of these projects that have been completed,
Yeah.
you know.
Hopefully
Yeah,
the
well, the
directional
distribution
drill will be
system.
done on the east
Yeah,
side.
should be done, so
That's
I
fine.
think you can tie it together.
Expensive.
Expensive.
So, yeah, why don't you work on a date, mid to late June?
Okay.
And then we'll put it out with the report. You know,
And we could do a precursor here.
On the main.
Yeah,
On the capital plan.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's.
We'll do a dry run for
Right.
it. and- That sounds good.
And this is broadcast too,
Those-
people watch it.
maybe executive session, but I know we're trying to recoup money related to the contamination we've had, the PFAS and PFOA.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Jim might be able to touch
I
on
haven't heard from
where
him.
that is, I don't, we,
Yeah, I haven't heard much either.
Happily burned.
Yeah, I haven't heard from them.
I mean, I have some new information I can send them just to kinda,
Yeah, I can follow up with them, but I have.
Yeah.
if you want, I could
I
send
know there
them.
was, at one point, they were talking about our claim being almost the first case that was
Yeah.
gonna go to trial. Be sort of a test case.
Yeah, it's
or-
been all quiet.
Yeah, I haven't heard much of it.
When are we gonna get the next test report from you guys,
as far as,
as far as chemistry and contaminants, PFAS levels?
So they test every month.
Yeah, but you were sending us reports and I hadn't seen one in a while.
We haven't tested this year yet,
Yeah.
because our plant one's obviously down, so we gotta wait till that plant's up and running, then we'll do our, full test, so we
But
can
the-
send
yeah, the
you
one, we had a one-time sort of hit at Plant 2, it was an anomaly.
Plant 3, yeah.
Plant 3.
1-3?
Yeah. We're still getting very minimal.
Not 1-3,
detect-
oh,
Plant 3.
Plant 3, Plant 3.
Yeah. You still get very minimal traces and nothing over the limit, near the limit, so.
And nothing new. I know in the western part, there's been some very small traces of 1,4-dioxane,
We had,
things like that.
last year we tested it every well.
Yeah,
and
so it's good.
Very, very good.
It's good to be able to say that.
Yes.
You know, I think that's
Yeah.
important.
So the, at Field 3, that, it's just, I guess it's just the one time, so now we're not, sort of, because I know we have been preparing and engineering for a carbon
Possibility.
filtration system.
We did, and we got that approved, and it's there if we need it.
Okay.
So if we ever need to move quickly, we have that approval in place, but we're not planning on doing anything yet.
I'd rather, we don't have to.
That's
It doesn't
again why that field's
it's
seasonal
expensive.
too, to try hopefully maybe whatever that plume that was pulling from can
I
move
mean, if we
past.
had the money, if like somebody gave us a grant to build it, I guess we probably should do it.
The only thing is you have to fund it first, then apply for the grant.
So imagine grant.
Because I imagine one day in the future, every well field will have a
Some sort of filtration. Yeah.
filtration system.
Hopefully the
Well-
government keeps up with their,
They're talking
Giving.
about regulating these contaminants at detection levels.
yeah.
The detection levels are like two,
Yeah.
2 parts
and it could even be in the
parts.
quadrillions,
Trillion.
trillion, 2 parts per
trillion, so, and it could even go further down into the quadrillions. So if that's the case, they're gonna look at your well and say, if there's a possible chance that you have perfluorinated at even a quadrillion level,
But the
put
detection
carbon.
limit is right now in the parts per
2 parts
trillion.
per trillion.
So that they regulate it to a detection level that we can't measure.
It was 70 not long ago.
It was
Right.
70, and
Parts, yeah, what's that?
EPA is still 70, I believe? No, is it? EPA is still 70 parts per
State's
trillion.
10.
The state is 10 for PFAS,
Yeah,
PFOA.
one for dioxin.
Yeah, and then there's new regulations coming where they looking at, they call them the PFA 6. It's PFAS, PFOA, and 4 others. And I'm not even gonna attempt to tell you which ones they are. But now if you have a combination of all 6 of those and it exceeds a certain amount, it's a violation. And then there's the PFA 10s, which is,
It's a combination of those.
if you have a combination of those 10 and it's over a higher amount, it's,
Well, that's
Is
why
it
they're doing
worth- is it
USCMR
worth
5
being
this year.
proactive with these filters rather than potentially having a problem like in the middle of the summer and having to take something offline and deal with it then?
That was a discussion we had to see if we wanted to go that route, but we all voted just to see, do the testing, do the aggressive testing, and then talk with the Suffolk County Board of Health Services to see what, their ideas was. And they said we can blend those 3 wells. The good thing about having those wells, if one pops, we can blend, be below the limit, and then be fine. It's just a costly, and obviously the carbon is very backordered to get that stuff, and then to lose the wells for summer would be detrimental to us, so.
And I'm just thinking if there's grant money currently available to deal with these situations, it might not be.
Yeah, we just need the funding in place, apply for the grants.
Well, there's also, you have a moving target when it comes to the detection levels and the criterion combination
Yeah.
of that. And I think it's prudent to, before you leave, see where this all settles out. It keeps changing all the time, and I know there's another group looking at other emergent contaminants that we're not testing for, if they even exist, they're in that process. So my view is that you hold off until that's settled out, so we know what we're gonna be dealing with cost-wise going into the future.
Yeah, I think
That's
they're gonna
one
get a
of
lot
the
of data this year. We have to do what's called the UCMR 5, which tests for 28 different compounds of PFAS and then lithium.
29 plus lithium.
29, sorry.
Plus lithium.
28 plus one.
Yeah, so,
Well, they want to find out, just in case they want to build more batteries.
I don't know where lithium came from,
Lithium is
but,
not toxic, is it? Naturally occurring.
I'm sure anything in
It's
massive
only
doses.
mined in 2 places in the world.
It might have just come from all of the batteries that are now in.
In
use.
landfill, I
Yeah.
think that's what they want to try
Yeah.
to find out.
it's geared
Yeah.
towards.
I
all
think
of
it is naturally occurring in the groundwater, so they're just trying to get an understanding of, is it a problem?
Yeah, but the mine stuff for batteries is only in 2 places in the world.
Yeah.
You know, what they're trying to determine is whether or not the amount of batteries that we toss into landfills, whether that's leached or not.
Mhm.
Nobody knows. So
Yeah. So
I
I don't suspect a lithium problem on the
I
Hampton Bays
don't-
Water District.
I don't
I
either.
think it depends on what form the lithium is in, but it
Mm.
shouldn't, I don't think it's toxic lithium.
Yeah, I mean, 5 years or 10 years ago, we looked for selenium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just,
Find
you
it?
know,
It's the,
we didn't, unless you look in
Well,
your
that's good.
shampoos,
Looking
but
for gold or?
Are the carbon filters
you know,
effective against?
Palladium?
against lithium?
Yeah.
Lithium's a metal, so I think it would be
metal.
more of
sand.
a sand filtration, an oxidation, and,
Okay.
But selenium's.
I mean, these carbon
radiological, right?
filters were
It has a radiological component to it.
one of them does, yeah.
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 expensive to install,
I
and
mean, lithium, they
The-
probably have
Everything's
to
expensive.
bring it out
and the
as a
carbon was
salt.
far more expensive than we were told.
And it's
When
only-
it-
It's gonna
But-
be an
And it's
ion
only going
form.
up, the demand is going
But
up
some of
because
that
of the.
comes from from fracking waters that were originally
Okay.
brought here, and a lot of places in the state that uses
Capital planes.
desalination,
Good.
salt to melt ice, and it contains some of that fracking water, so we got that stopped, hopefully, but there might, that also might be some of the things I know they're looking at on their, so it's kinda interesting, but I don't think it's settled out yet.
You know, it's amazing, it's.
All right, so I
It's a
just,
big subject.
yeah.
So, yeah, in May, we'll come back with of what has been done and what we plan for moving forward,
And you'll set
mainly
up
for
the meeting in
2024.
June, the community meeting?
And we'll pick a date, we'll email and see if you guys want to be a part.
Yeah, I'd like to come,
Uh,
but, you know,
Comptroller's
I'd like
office,
you
uh,
guys then to also send an email and put it in the newsletter and,
Yeah.
you know, that everybody knows and we'll do our best.
Yeah, we
to
did put a
publicize
bunch of
it.
information in the town newsletter last year about our, grants, our completion of projects and so forth that we
We can
have
help you
All good.
reserve the senior center
Okay.
for it, so, yeah, I think that's nice. Well, it should be like a once-a-year thing, maybe every June.
Sure.
I mean, it won't be around, but every June.
You can always come.
Who knows?
Open up to
Give you
the
guys a
public.
hard time.
Yeah.
You're like an honorary member, commissioner. All right, thank you. Good job, everybody.
Yeah, really
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Over that, and,
That's it.
Keep you updated if I hear anything from you.
Do I
As soon as I
have,
hear from you.
Will do.
If they're ready
so
to
they
go.
have
Yeah,
to do like
okay.
a
See you at least
public
once a
portion,
week.
do
Me
it?
too.
I was even, I'm working with Bridget.
I'd like to get the update at some point.
All right, so,
Certificate of need.
before you guys go,
Expedite the legislative
I'm
approval.
supposed to
As
do
soon
a
as I get the
public
number,
portion
I
of this
agree
meeting.
with it.
Oh,
There's nobody
I'll
here,
get
but,
that legislative
Kim's from
anybody
Hampton
who'd like
Bays.
to
She
be
might
heard
ask.
in the public portion? All right, I'll make a motion to close public portion.
second?
Seconded by Councilman Scivone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Is there any other business? All right, I'll make a motion to close the meeting of the Water District Commissioners.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Good luck on your agenda.